everybody, Jason Spangler here, the SanteeSwapper. I'm back with another unboxing video. I have two collections here that I want to show you, both of which have come in the last couple of weeks, and they're both very different. So let's kind of get right into it. This first collection is from a gentleman who got his eagle in 1976. He is living in Florida now. That's where this delivery came from. And similar conversation as many of these collections I get. You know, if you kind of do the math, someone who got their eagle in 1976, probably in their 60s now, kind of reached that point where there's no one in his family who's really interested in this stuff. But of course, he's held on to it all these years, and so he's interested in seeing if someone like me would like to buy it and kind of rehome it to a scouter. And so I really don't have an idea of what's in here. He did say that he has items from the 1964 and 1973 Jamboree, but that doesn't really tell me a whole lot. So I'm really curious to see what's in here. So let's check it out. All right. He said he had a mixture of patches, neckerchiefs, slides, and that's kind of what this looks like. You know, if you just take a look, this looks kind of like what you see. I see a belt in here, loops, stuff. I see an OA sash and some neckerchiefs, and then of course a bag of patches. So maybe we'll start with the bag of patches, and I'll set them up here and see what we got. Kind of a collection from a scouter like this, where it represents their time in scouting. What you're going to find is it's more of an accumulation of their experience in scouting. It's not like they were a checklist collector going around trying to find specific items. They just did a lot of scouting. Maybe they even got patches from other family members. Maybe the uncle or the dad gave them some stuff. And so you really just don't know what you're going to find in here. It's not necessarily that there's anything super valuable, but this was his time in scouting, the things that he earned. Sometimes when people go to jamborees, you know, maybe they do a little trading and they get some stuff from other parts of the country. That's always a fun tradition at jamborees. Through our conversation, it wasn't quite clear to me if he attended the 73 Jamboree. He wouldn't have attended the 64 Jamboree given his age, but now, like I said, he could have a relative who maybe did go to that event, and so that's really a possibility. But as I'm looking through here, you can kind of see, here's a patch, an OA patch. I believe that's from Texas, so I'm trying to sort of narrow in a little bit of where he did his scouting. Hoosier Trails, Camp Lewis Ernst. You can kind of see some of these guys, again, Lewis Ernst. And this will kind of help you understand maybe where he did his scouting. Now, being that he's in Florida, that doesn't really tell me a whole lot because a lot of people moved to Florida, of course, in retirement. And but the fact that he has held on to this scouting stuff all these years, and there you go, I think right there is a good example. So we're seeing this a pattern here, Camp Lewis Ernst, Hoosier Hills Council, obviously that's going to be in Indiana, and that's an older one, 1963. So that could have been one that maybe his dad earned or something like that, would have just been my guess. So throwing it up here. And then you're going to see these position patches. Now these position patches that are on this green background, these came out starting in 1972. Same thing for these colored rank patches, and so that all pretty much matches up. If somebody was to get their eagle in 1976, these would be the kind of patches that they would have. And so as you can see, many of these are sewn. So these came right off of his uniform. There's the 64 Jamboree patch that he mentioned. So there we go. That is the patches. Now let's take a look at the neckerchiefs. So just to hold up the sash here, this is pretty typical OA sash from that time period. It's a heavy, thick cotton, and this shows that he was an ordeal member in the Order of the Arrow. Show you some of these other ones here. So he did make it into the Order of the Arrow and Nishochupagit Lodge, and it's Lodge 212. Now again, I don't have an encyclopedia brain for this, but I think that is Lodge in Texas. Okay, some more from this area. Again, Hoosier Hills, staff neckerchief, more from that camp. And then we just have a wad of sort of troop neckerchiefs, the sort of generic troop neckerchiefs. Ooh, okay, a bag here that's going to have all his cards. You can see that. He is from Troop 637. A couple of belts here, merit badges. There is a paperweight from being an Eagle Scout. And that is pretty much it. I see merit badges, some other slides. This might be kind of interesting, a metal neckerchief slide from that area, which is kind of a unique item. I really don't see those type anymore. But that is pretty much it. Oh, that's just kind of cool. A little spear point there. And that is kind of it. So this is a great example of a collection that is just a scouter's accumulation. He's held on to these items all these years, again, Eagle in 1976, and found me on the internet and decided that he wanted to rehome these. So I will give him a call as soon as I finish this unboxing. We've actually not connected on a price because I hadn't seen what's in here, but I'll make him a very fair offer on this, and I'll be glad to recycle these items and get them back into the hands of new scouters. All right, let's take a look and see what's in the other box. Okay, I mentioned that I had another box to open up. I've got this one here. This one actually comes to me from Minnesota, but that doesn't mean that's where the gentleman's from. Interesting thing about this collection is that I believe it has about 75 to 100 patches. That is what I seem to remember him telling me. And this is one of those interesting collections where the gentleman literally didn't really even expect me to buy the collection from him. He just really didn't want to throw it in the trash or have it end up in the dumpster when he passed away. And so I agreed just to pay for the price of shipping just to get these items to me, and he was happy for them to get into the hands of another collector, someone who would appreciate them. So that doesn't happen all the time, but it's very much appreciated when it does. And got a nice little bag of patches here. All right. Now this is kind of interesting to find right off the front just because that's from my area. I live in the Mecklenburg County Council, and so Catawba Lodge is the local lodge here. That's their 40th anniversary flight from 1991. So interesting. Sometimes when you look at patches, you can kind of see the story and see where they're from, kind of understand that whole story. And then sometimes there's just kind of a hodgepodge and you don't really know what's going on. Like, for example, here's several different council strips. Now, a lot of people do patch trading, and so the fact that he has multiple council strips doesn't really surprise me. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily help zero in on where he did his scouting. So I'll just kind of put a bunch of activity patches up here just to kind of give you an idea. There's Viking Council, which would have been in Minnesota. Here's another CSP. Let's see what else we got. More Viking Council, Viking County. Okay, so that maybe is suggesting that, yeah, we do have a collection that has some stuff from Minnesota in it. So these are camp patches, Tomahawk Scout Reservation, camporee patches, event patches. Here's another camp patch from 1980. I'm deciding not even to put up here things like patrol leader patches and other things that, you know, everybody's seen that aren't really interesting national issue type things. But you might want to be curious to see some other things. Here's an OA Conclave patch. Let's start over fresh here. There's an OA Conclave patch, the first OA patch I've seen. There's another OA Pie. You know, I kind of like OA patches, so I get a little excited about that. More from Viking Council. Twin Cities, Plymouth, those are National Scout Shop patches. Another council strip here, scout camps. A little more CSPs, Tomahawk. And then here's an OA patch as well. So what's kind of interesting to me in this collection is almost what's not here. So what I'm not seeing is any rank patches, position patches, you know, sort of uniform worn patches. So that is just not typical of what I normally get. Normally, with an accumulation like this, you would think, like this other scouter I showed you, you would see the neckerchiefs and the bolo ties and the things that they all wore, but maybe that's not what this guy kept. But regardless, I really appreciate the thought that this guy would reach out to me through the internet and decide to send me this stuff with no expectation of me buying it from him. I will just confess, in this pile, there's not that many things that I see a whole lot of value in, but I'm really appreciative to get these, and all of these will get recycled back into the hobby. Jason Spengler, the SanteeSwapper. Thanks for watching my unboxing. Don't forget to go to my YouTube channel. I think there's a link below where you can subscribe and like this video. That helps me with all those metrics. And also, I have several dozen unboxing videos that you can watch on my channel. Thanks very much.